A drug designed for type 2 diabetes suddenly became the talk of every clinic, every dinner table, and eventually every corner of social media. Doctors called it groundbreaking. Patients swore it was life-changing, and celebrities slipped it into their routines without saying a word. That drug was Ozempic. At first, the story sounded almost too good to be true. Ozempic wasn't just helping patients regulate blood sugar. It was also melting away pounds like magic. Suddenly, what started as a medical treatment turned into a cultural craze. Pharmacies ran out of stock, TikTok feeds filled with jaw-dropping before and after videos, and the so-called skinny jab became a global obsession. But here's the part few people wanted to talk about. Behind the applause, the viral transformations, and the billion-dollar headlines, a silent danger was emerging. A rare side effect. One so severe it could take away more than just pounds. It could take away your sight. So let's discuss this hidden story. From diabetes treatment to lifestyle craze first. Let's understand how it all started. Ozempic, scientifically known as semaglutide, entered the medical scene in 2017 as a GLP-1 receptor agonist. Its job was straightforward but powerful: to help type 2 diabetes patients control blood sugar while reducing risks of heart complications like stroke and a heart attack. The mechanism was fascinating. It mimicked a natural hormone in the body, signaling the pancreas to release insulin after meals, slowing digestion and reducing appetite. Clinical trials at the time showed remarkable results, and for years, Ozempic quietly played its role as a reliable treatment option. But then, an unexpected effect began catching doctors' eyes: dramatic weight loss. Patients reported shedding pounds quickly, and soon, this side benefit overshadowed its original purpose. The cultural shift happened fast. Celebrities whispered about it at red carpet events. Influencers gave cryptic hints about their secret injections. And suddenly, the drug wasn't just about saving lives. It was about reshaping bodies. Pharmacies couldn't keep up with demand, and patients who truly needed Ozempic for diabetes management sometimes went home empty-handed. On one side, doctors celebrated the fact that obesity, a condition linked to dozens of chronic diseases, finally had a promising medical solution. On the other hand, a dangerous trend emerged. People without diabetes or serious obesity were rushing to get prescriptions, chasing cosmetic results rather than medical necessity. It was during this wave of popularity that the darker side began to reveal itself. While people celebrated quick weight loss, doctors noticed something deeply concerning: cases of sudden, permanent vision loss. The shocking truth about sudden vision loss. Then came the reports no one expected. For months, Ozempic had been hailed as a wonder drug, praised for its role in controlling blood sugar and celebrated for its dramatic weight loss effects. But soon, whispers of something far more troubling began to surface. Patients started sharing stories that sounded almost unbelievable, waking up one morning to discover they could no longer see out of one eye. What made these accounts so terrifying was the suddenness. There were no early warning signs, no headaches, no pain, no gradual blurring of vision. Instead, it was as if the lights had been switched off overnight. Perfectly normal vision the night before, and by sunrise, irreversible darkness in one eye. Doctors began to investigate, and the culprit was identified as a rare but devastating condition called non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, NAION, often referred to as an eye stroke. The science behind it is chilling. The optic nerve, the vital cable that carries visual information from the eye to the brain, relies on a delicate blood supply. In NAION, that blood flow becomes blocked, starving the nerve of oxygen. Once deprived, the optic nerve suffers permanent damage. And unlike other parts of the body, nerve tissue doesn't regenerate. The result? Irreversible blindness, with no treatment or cure. But NAION wasn't the only concern. Media outlets such as the New York Post reported that patients taking GLP-1 drugs like semaglutide were also developing other optic nerve disorders, ranging from NAION-like symptoms to papillitis and paracentral acute middle maculopathy. This suggested that the risks weren't limited to a single condition, but could involve multiple pathways to vision loss. Health publications, including Medical News Today, also covered a groundbreaking 2024 study in JAMA Ophthalmology that highlighted a strong association many experts feared. The research showed that patients taking semaglutide, the active ingredient in Ozempic, were several times more likely to develop NAION compared to those not on the drug. Even more concerning, most of these cases appeared within the very first year of treatment, pointing to a critical window of risk. The numbers themselves were staggering. Across the United States, reports of patients experiencing permanent vision loss, possibly linked to Ozempic, began to surface in growing numbers. For a drug once celebrated as the miracle shot, this was the kind of news no one wanted to hear. Early warnings doctors couldn't ignore. The first red flags came from eye hospitals. At Mass Eye and Ear Hospital in Boston, doctors were alarmed when, in the span of a single week, 3 separate patients arrived with NAION. All 3 had one thing in common. They were taking semaglutide. When researchers dug deeper into patient records, the numbers were startling. As CNN Health reported, diabetic patients on semaglutide were 4 times more likely to develop NAION, while those taking it for obesity had a 7-fold risk. Considering NAION is already the second leading cause of optic nerve blindness after glaucoma, this wasn't something doctors could brush aside. Pharmaceutical giant Novo Nordisk, the maker of Ozempic, has pushed back, saying causation is not yet fully established. But with so many cases stacking up, the medical community is treating these warnings very seriously. The FDA has already begun reviewing safety data and evaluating whether updated warnings are needed. What regulators around the world are saying. While the US continues its review, Europe moved faster. The European Medicines Agency, EMA, has already taken a firm stance. As reported by the Times of India, the EMA officially listed NAION as a very rare side effect of semaglutide, estimating it affects about 1 in 10,000 patients. The agency has since advised both patients and doctors to stay alert. For patients, this means seeking urgent medical help if they notice sudden dimming of vision, blurred eyesight, or dark spots. For doctors, it means closely monitoring individuals with high-risk conditions such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and sleep apnea. Why? Because these conditions already compromise circulation, and when Ozempic adds rapid blood sugar shifts into the mix, the optic nerve can be left vulnerable. In short, the EMA made it clear, the risks are rare, but real. The human cost behind the number statistics can sound distant, but the reality of vision loss is deeply personal. Patients have described the shock of going to bed with normal eyesight and waking up unable to see from one eye. For professionals whose careers depend on sharp vision, pilots, drivers, surgeons, it has meant the sudden end of livelihoods. For others, it meant losing independence, no longer being able to drive, cook safely, or walk without assistance. The emotional toll is just as devastating. Depression, regret, and feelings of betrayal are common among those who say they were never warned about this possibility. Families, too, are left struggling as loved ones adjust to permanent disability. And this isn't just a Western issue. In countries like Pakistan, Ozempic often bypass strict regulations. Imported through unofficial channels, it sells for exorbitant prices, sometimes 25,000 to 50,000 Pakistani rupees per injection. Social media influencers glamorize it. Young professionals seek quick fixes, and with little medical supervision, the risks multiply. Behind every number lies a story, and for some, Ozempic's story has ended in darkness, balancing benefits and risks. Now let's be fair. Ozempic is not simply a bad drug. For people with type 2 diabetes, it helps regulate blood sugar, reduces cardiovascular risks, and can literally add years to their lives. For those with severe obesity, it offers a pathway to better health, lower blood pressure, improved mobility, and reduced risk of conditions like fatty liver disease and sleep apnea. But every powerful drug comes with trade-offs, and for some, the cost of those benefits has been catastrophic, permanent blindness. Regulators and researchers are urging people to weigh both sides carefully, not to chase short-term results without understanding the long-term stakes. Doctors now recommend regular eye checkups for anyone starting Ozempic, along with immediate medical attention if vision changes occur. Staying informed, asking the right questions, and not falling for social media hype could make the difference between transformation and tragedy. Ozempic may feel like a miracle drug, But even miracles come with shadows. Weight loss and blood sugar control can transform health, but so can blindness in the opposite direction. The real question is, are we fully informed about the risks we're willing to take? So, before jumping on the hype, pause and think. Health decisions are never just about short-term results. They're about long-term consequences. If you found this eye-opening, share it with someone who needs to know the full story. Stay informed, stay cautious, and always put your health above trends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.